Welcome to the first episode of Dada Finance with Mama Bima
and Angela Hiuhu. So good to be here.
Dada Finance is a financial series that promotes financial literacy and financial self-exploration. And on this inaugural episode, we will tackle the question, what is your relationship with money?
Can you believe she chose me of all people to tackle that? But we'll try and have a dig at it.
Yes.
So what we're trying to say by value of money is basically, what do you derive out of money? What is the purchasing power money holds for you? If we go out for a casual lunch and each one of us has 100 bob, and I'll buy, what would you probably buy?
With 100 bob?
Yeah.
100 bob, I'd probably buy a fruit salad.
That's all right.
Depending on how hungry I am.
Yeah.
I do like for 50 bob.
Yeah.
Or for 100 bob.
And I could either buy a slice of pizza, I could have rice and dondo, or chapati and milk, or something along those lines. But at the end of the day, we spent these 100 bob differently.
Yes.
Depending on what you want or what I want. So value of money differs with a lot of things. One is the most obvious, given our society and where we are as the world, societal pressure. 2 is your needs. 3 is your wants. 4 is your preferences. And most importantly, the one thing we always ignore or never deal with is basically how we were raised in our environment. So we can try tackle this couple of things and see what questions we can elicit to make us better and curate a different way of looking at money. So basically, money is the one thing all want.
Yes.
More money, more life, better life for all of us.
That's why we wake up so early,
Exactly,
honestly, to go looking for money, you know? Because for me, I feel that money is that tool that will help me give my child access to the best education.
Absolutely.
Okay? Give my nephews access to the best education that I can afford for them.
Yeah.
So.
And how do you know that's the best thing? How do you know that education for your young girl is the best thing right now?
I guess for me, education really is everything.
Exactly.
If you look at, say now, my background, and every time I look at my life right now and I see like how far I've come, I realize that it's actually education that's gotten me here. You know, like I came from like, you know, poor background.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I was fortunate enough. I used to be like a very smart kid.
You look like it.
So I was fortunate enough to go like to, you know, those dream kind of high school.
Yeah, that shaped you.
University. And I think coming to UON was my first, you know, if I can say my first adventure in town in Nairobi. And I think it's basically education that opened those doors for me.
True.
So I always feel
you want to impart the same.
Exactly. And from the word go, I've always like really given back, you know, even to my nephews, my niece, and even now my own daughter.
Absolutely.
I find myself really pushing myself to ensure that maybe it's like that, maybe Montessori kind of kindergarten that I want her to go through the system, and hopefully after that now she can transition maybe back to the CBC. Yes, but quality education.
And that's what we're trying to say. The fact that you've been through there, you have experienced that, want to be better, and you have a plan of how you want to get there. You're offering your daughter this type of education because you know it will get there. So we as human beings are elements of habits. We are elements of repetition. Whatever it is you did, it worked for you, and you want to repeat the same. You want to replicate the same. And there's nothing wrong with that. So if you are used to, for example, every time you want an equipment in your house, and the way you were raised is, since you were struggling in terms of how much cash was at your disposal, the default element was to go for a second-hand instrument or a technical instrument, which is fine. But how many times will you fix it over the span of an year, while you could have looked at what's the cost of a new equipment, save up to it, and purchase it? So we're trying to see, how do you change how you look at money and what money does for you. So if I gave you 1,000 bob, you did not expect to get this 1,000 bob, what would you do with it on an instant, on a flimps?
If you give me just a G.
Yes.
So I'm not really a spendthrift.
Oh, that's
really.
good. Maybe it's because
Yes.
you shouldn't be, given all the advice you give us.
Yes, I'm not really a spendthrift.
Yeah.
And even before I spend money, okay, fine, I do have some. I love myself. I like to entertain myself
As
here
you
and there.
should.
But I really do sit down, look at my budget, and I would actually look at where would that 1K fit in.
Absolutely.
You know? So
Yeah.
I wouldn't just jump out and decide KFC tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So when you say we are creatures of habit,
Yes.
imagine if every once in a week, somebody gave you that as 1,000 bob.
Yes.
And like you're saying, you didn't blow it off. But imagine if I blew off this 1,000 bob every time it comes to me, say once in a week, I'm blowing off 4,000. That 4,000 could have easily fitted into my elect bills. Easily.
Yes.
So how do we develop a sense of awareness that before I spend that money, I'm like, wait, what about my budget? Wait, what about that thing that I wanted to do? Can this 1,000 bob plug into that hole? What can I do for this 1,000 bob to create value for it? When we say money has lost value, like you'll hear a lot in the business news or in the world of finance, basically it's a simple meaning, and the way I can break it down is what 1,000 bob could afforded you a month ago is not what 1,000 bob will afford you this month.
True.
So how do you protect yourself against that? Because your employer will not give you a raise every month. So your 50,000 last month is your 50,000, but your 50,000 is no longer worth the value it was this month as it was last month.
True.
And the way we beat that is we say you have to invest your money. So you have to look for a vehicle that will cover that difference. And how money loses value is an element we call inflation, which basically means things are more expensive now and your money is still your money. So in the sense that I have a pair of jeans that I could rock when I was in high school, but now I can't rock it because obviously my body has changed and things have changed. So my pair of jeans is my money. And then there's this thing I can't control. Okay, I can control my body weight by eating right and dieting. But if you couldn't control electricity, you can't control the cost of water, you can't control the cost of production.
Yes.
The best thing I can do for these jeans is protect its what it is, what it means, and how do I build its value over time. So you have to invest it in a way that its value also increases, that it cushions you from the increase in cost of production and the cost of living. So we have to save up money. There's no other way. And the other thing is the awareness of the 5 points we had raised. How to protect yourself from societal pressure, which is something we all struggle with. Every moment we get in the matatu, where you're working, while we're in the loo.
Social media.
I know, we're scrolling through IG, looking at our models, looking at our, what are they called, influencers, and they trigger you.
Yes.
But at this point in moment, do you need a 13,000 perfume? Do you need a handbag that what you're putting inside is not worth what the value of your handbag? And I'm not saying don't buy. I'm not saying let's be stingy.
Yes.
But in the spirit of being frugal, how do we also still love ourselves?
Yes.
So how do you keep your frequency of your makeup or your touch-ups or your gel? How do you get it at the right price?
Yes.
Are you going to go to an expensive place just because it's expensive and you can tell the world, who really don't care, to be honest,
Yes.
that you had your makeup at X while you could have added a Y at a better price and you still feel good about yourself?
And I really love that point.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Really, IG sometimes
Oh, yeah.
also gets to me.
It does.
So fine. I do follow a few, influencers or celebrities
And as you
who I
should.
personally like.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe you'll see one of your faves maybe wearing a suit worth 15,000, pushing a brand.
I know.
Like a suit worth 15K. Really, if I were to stock my wardrobe with like 15K kind of suit,
I know.
yet
What is
you can
suffering?
go down to Sunbeam.
Yeah.
Get a really nice guy down there called Brian. get you a proper, by the way, mtush
Absolutely.
camera suit for what, 3K.
So what
You
we're
know?
asking here you is to be aware,
Yes.
to be conscious of how you're spending your money. And the
Yes.
only way you can do that is if you have information. And you can't do that if, who are your friends? Who are the people you're hanging out? Are there people who will ask you, Mama Bima, so what are you currently spending your money on? What are you carrying? How are you saving your money? I know you bought us drinks yesterday, but if you buy drinks for us, drinks every other weekend, are you that loaded?
But Angie, do we really have such friends?
But that's the whole point of this conversation. If you can't call me out and I can't call you out, then am I truly your friend?
Do you call out your friends?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, ask them. Because really, then what's the point? How are we building one another up? If I know you're struggling, but I'm calling you, we go to Naivasha to watch the rally and the prices of accommodation have skyrocketed. What am I doing for you or to you for that matter? So how do you check your environment, first of all? Are there people who are building you up or are there people who are ready to tear you down? How do you ensure that whoever it is you're following on IG, that's why there is a really remove and add. You need to curate what you take in.
Yes.
Because what you take in affects what you do. And what you do is the difference between you and I. If you go back to that example of 100 bob,
Yes.
if I could have a meal of 70 bob every day,
Yes.
or even 50 bob, and save that 50 bob, cumulatively in a month, if you exhaust your 100 bob,
Yes.
and I spend a 50 bob out of my lunch, cumulatively in a month, does that set us apart?
Yes, you'll be 1,500.
Absolutely.
Yes,
And it's the same concept at the end of the month. You have 100,000, I have 100,000. But what you do with it
Yes.
is what makes us the difference. And the whole essence of this conversation is what affects what you do it with. And that's why we're saying societal environment, how you were raised, and even your living conditions, and even the kind of burden or baggage financial that you have in that aspect. Are you so used to taking debt? Are you born rich that 100,000 is really nothing? You blow it because you know another one is coming. Have you no concept for the future? Are you a YOLO person to the letter? What kind of factors affect how you spend your money? So that's what we're trying to ask you. When you're spending your money every other day, is it because so that it can get out of my face without you actually being deliberate about it? But wait a minute, I could do my shopping. If you're shopping for your family, you could say, I know my house uses 2 packets of flour every X number of days. So how many do I need to buy? That way you also reduce wastage, because wastage is a big thing. You don't want to waste light. How do you switch off your light every time you're not using the bathroom or you're not using the kitchen? That kind of thing. Do you make use of natural light or not? Yeah. I know. How do you stock up your fridge?
Yes.
Yet you're that person who, oh, I can't eat food that is not fresh.
Yes.
Then why are you not cooking just enough food for the day? So what are these habits we've picked over time that are making us spend more money that we apparently don't have, but it looks like we have, either to maintain an image, to maintain a lifestyle, or just to be that people that we really are not, and it's affecting our pocket at the end of the day. So what affects how you spend your money makes the difference between the two of us. Whatever discipline it is you have curated or not curated, where you resort to at the end of the day or not, affects the difference between, because I could be smart. I mean, we've had people footballers who earn a wage weekly, not weekly, I think after every 2 weeks.
Yes.
And once they leave that profession,
Yes. They have nothing. Literally
exactly.
nothing.
And you hear stories of mama mbogas who are building flats. What differentiates those two people?
Yes.
Because the income mama mboga is making is nothing compared to this footballer.
Yes,
but what
yes.
sets them different?
True.
It's how you look at it, your awareness to your money, your everyday habit to spending money, your thinking and your thought process when it comes to money. The same way whatever it is you love, is it football, is it dressing, is it your career, is it your education for your young one?
Yes.
The way you think through it, I would urge every one of us to think about money that way. That it's something that can go, it's something that comes, but it doesn't change who you are inherently, but it changes what you do about it, and it sets us apart. That's what I would say. Yeah.
You know, honestly, Angie,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, okay, I know sometimes I do sit down and sort of like take a trip down and try to sort of like self-explore.
Yeah.
But I've never looked at money that way. You know, that my habits really are really pegged on my experiences, you know, my
Absolutely.
background, my upbringing.
Absolutely.
You know, actually, even the lack of money.
And now that you have it, you want to either buy clothes because you never had new clothes and everybody around you had clothes. So whenever you get 1,000 bob, your default setting is to buy something nice because it fills a gap that you've been carrying all along. But you didn't know. So you have to think through it. Every time I get money, what do I do with it? And then you think deeper, why do I do that? Why do we cook a lot of food? Is it because at some point there was never lunch and I feel the need to surround myself with food?
I'll tell you, one of my biggest weaknesses when it comes to money, I overshop, really. And not clothing, not anything, like groceries.
Yeah.
I overshop so much to
And
the
those are
point
perishables.
that when I get sometimes if my nan is not feeling well and I get my mama Fua to come over, you'll find I literally pack for her foodstuffs to go with. When my when my nanny is going home for the weekend, I literally pack for her like snacks.
Exactly.
for her grandchildren. But honestly, I'm really trying to work on that because really I have a very young child.
Yeah.
And my baby's not yet even 3. But if you see the kind of, if you see my cat in the supermarket,
Probably
it's
think
crazy.
you're feeding a family of a football team or something.
You know, I just put so much onto the cat, and in a way, I never feel, you know, guilty. It sort of like fills a
Therapy.
gap.
I know.
You
I know what
somewhere
you
deep
mean.
There. It's like I'm a small kid who still remembers the lack of.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But for how long can you sustain that? For how long will you keep on, you know, patching a first aid band onto that thing that you need to resolve?
Yes.
Is it until you're broke?
Oh, no.
Is it until all the things you buy just go to waste and you're wasting food? While you could have shopped just what is enough and a little bit extra to still pack your with when your nanny is leaving. So now you're aware, and that's the whole point of this conversation, to create self-awareness. So what do we do after that?
Wow. I honestly do hope that our viewers will also take this trip
Yeah, I really hope so too.
of self-exploration with us, because I feel that our attitudes, our values, you know, they actually determine how
Our
we
habits,
manage.
absolutely.
You know, our habits, they
Yeah.
actually determine how we do our money management. And at the end of the day, really, if we are more self-aware, you know, I loved something that you said, that you even have like friends,
Yeah.
you know, that you can actually ask, you know, the tough questions.
And that's how it should be, because then how do I grow you? What is the essence of having a friend? If I can ask you, I know you're struggling this month.
Yes.
How is it that you're still affording to eat out every day? Are you fully to eat out?
Yeah.
What is going on? But tell me, what's up? Where is your headspace right now? If you don't have such friends, you need to curate that environment for
Or
yourself.
become that friend.
Absolutely.
And start that conversation with your friends.
Exactly, because most of the people we have, it's either because of association, and there's no true value out of that. If you're going to get value out of money, you might as well get value out of friendship and value out of people. If you're not working with me in this journey, then excuse me.
Whoa. Angie, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Like, really.
Me too.
I'm so excited we get to do this with you.
Me
because
too.
I know just hearing your thoughts around finances, you know, around investments, which will come much later, you know, in our discussions.
Absolutely.
You are just a breath of fresh air. And I really, really do love how you look at the world. And so I'm really privileged because I've known Angie for quite a number of years.
Yes.
Yes, having worked together
Absolutely.
in the past. And I'm just really happy that we get to do this. It just adds so much value, you know,
Absolutely.
to the push for financial literacy. So thank you very much, guys. That's it for the very first episode.
Oh, thank you.
But we'll have, make sure that you catch the second episode because we'll continue this conversation. We need to look at how can we
Move on
remedy?
to the next stage, absolutely.
You know, how
Yeah.
can we move on and actually work on, you know, this sort of like
Self.
yes, work on ourselves to ensure that really you're not out here spending your 100 bob all on that pizza.
Or flimsy items that you can't even account for at the end of the month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.